Finance. My name is Michael Crone. I'm the Vice Chair. Chair John Lohr was unable to be here this evening, so I'll chair the meeting tonight. I'll ask our committee to introduce themselves, starting to my left.
Sarah Reyes.
Jody Garzon.
Joyce Boyardi.
Kathy McInnes.
Jen Zaretsky.
We will be having some other members join us as the night goes on. Some people were unable to be here on time. Let's start this particular meeting. It is our pre-town meeting when we give the public the opportunity to weigh in on the various articles that we've made our recommendations on. We've actually given the public the entire, since January, 5 months almost, opportunity to come in and speak. And we'd like to make that known to the public, that our Finance Committee meetings are open and you are able to speak at our meetings. We encourage it. We hope that people do come in and comment on the warrant articles before it gets to town meeting. It's a great time to air things out. It's a great time to get additional information without having to stand up in front of 300 other people and ask that question. So if you haven't been to our meetings before, we encourage you to come. We'll start out the meeting, and this meeting, what we'll do is we'll go through each of the warrant articles, and we'll give anyone the opportunity to speak on them if they'd like. Pete Underhill is unavailable at this moment, so I will read his articles. Article 1, motion that the town vote to transfer from free cash the sum of $15,396.63 to pay the following unpaid bills, and they're listed in the article. $4,900 roughly for building, recreation $314, select board $545, fire $9617.45. These are just bills that popped up that came out of previous budgets that needed to be paid now. Any questions on that particular article? There being none, let's go to Article 2. Motion that the town dismiss Article 2. It wasn't necessary in this particular instance. It was talking about transferring from available funds to operating expenses, but it was unnecessary at this time. Article 3. Article 3 is John Lohr. John isn't here. They're making me do a lot of work tonight. I had 2 articles, now all of a sudden I have 10 articles. Okay, Article 3 is to fix the compensation of elected officers provided for a reserve fund and to raise and appropriate, including appropriations from taxation, the sum of $47,269,970.30. Basically what this is this is the town budget. It talks about all of the various line items in the town budget. It is voluminous, and it's an appendix to our FinCom booklet that was received by everybody in the town, or at least was sent to everybody in the town this last week. Does anybody have any questions on Article 3? There being no questions on Article 3, we'll go to Article 4. Kathy?
Yes, Article 4 pertains to raise and appropriate from sewer department receipts the following sums to operate the sewer enterprise fund beginning July 1, 2025, including a reserve fund or take any other action related thereto. Salaries and wages, $292,425.12. Expenses, $1,410,076.48 for a total of $1,702,501.60. And Mr. Chair, these are the funds needed to operate the sewer enterprise fund.
Thank you. Any questions? Being no questions, let's move on to Article 5.
Mr. Chair, this is the same article, but it pertains, same issues, but it pertains to the Water Enterprise Fund beginning July 1, 2025. Salaries, $560,440.33. Expenses would be $2,061,133.67 for a total of $2,621,574.
Are there any questions or discussion? There being none, can we move to Article 6?
Article 6, Mr. Chair, pertains to the Stormwater Department And the following sums are needed to operate the Stormwater Enterprise Fund beginning July 1, 2025. Salaries, wages, $275,710.91. Expenses, $498,618, for a total of $774,328.91.
Are there any questions? Being none, we'll move to Article 6. This is Pete Berube. Excuse me, Article 7. The consent article, to move the town vote to approve the items written in the warrant and consent article. These include a variety of items that are listed in the book, employee benefits, Board of Health appointments, and a variety of authorized revolving as funds expenses. Anybody have any questions on this one?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes,
Can I have a question about a previous article?
sure.
All right. Wasn't ready. By it so quick. Lisa Harden, 56 Walnut Street. I just have a question about the town budget, in particular, the town clerk's department. And I don't, are the amounts that we're voting on the fiscal year 26 town administrator proposed? Is that?
These are the budgets
No,
that were
the
presented
one-
to us.
Yes. The total amount that we're being asked to vote for is what the town administrator's proposing, is that correct?
Whatever was proposed to us, yes.
I-
I don't know if it's the administrator, the select board is the one that approved them, so I would say it's.
Well,
what
I'm
the
I'm
select
just
board
going by what we were sent.
Mhm.
Is the 47,633,000
What's the question?
figure.
does. Yeah, what's the
Okay.
question?
So my question is, what is happening with the town clerk's office that he's proposing $155,000 salary? What's going on?
We
I
can
mean,
ask-
it's a huge increase, so I'm just
Right, we can
curious.
ask Mr. Kaczynski if he'd like to come up, or Jody's not, I don't think she's on. Ms. Kersey?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The finance director will be on shortly, but I guess I would ask what specific portion of the town clerk's budget is.
I think she brought up salary, she wanted to know why the
Well,
salary
I'm-
increases were
I'm
there.
curious as to this current year is 128,000, and then the department requested 145,000, and then you're proposing 155,000. So what's going on in the town
So,
clerk's office?
I think as has been discussed at a number of the finance committee meetings and prior meetings, there's a combination of issues here. The first is there were some adjustments per the union, recent union negotiations, and those, there was a more upfront adjustment, and there'll be smaller increases going forward. That's one item. The second item is because we're still in a transitional phase and we don't know what's going to happen with the town clerk proposal that's on the town meeting and the subsequent ballot. We did increase the hours of the assistant in the office, an additional 10 hours. And the rest of it is really contractual, so I'm not sure what the other specifics might be.
So the 155 is for the two
It's for the two,
people that work there.
yes.
Any other questions?
Yeah, on the registrars, what's happening to that salary?
So that was, well, the total amount in that line item is $1,300, is that correct?
It's currently 2,700,
Right.
so what happened there?
So I think there was a slight adjustment.
Do you want me to speak?
Sure.
At the mic.
Come on up to the mic,
Sorry.
please. Mike, you can sit there and both of you can speak.
you sit here, please?
Thank you for the clarification.
Lisa, I think
Into the microphone, please, if you don't mind.
Kathy Smith. I think what happened was the overtime got cut. We used to have an overtime line item, but because the other person in the office is getting an additional 10 hours, we took that overtime line out. Does that help? We had an overtime
Oh,
line?
the registrar
Yes.
overtime line
Right,
item
for
got
nomination
taken out?
papers and everything, we took
Oh.
that out because there's 10 more hours being added to the, what was 20 hours is now, is going to be 30 hours.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So all the salary for the people working in the town clerk's office will come out of the town clerk's salary?
Correct, correct. Yep, no overtime. We took overtime line items out because Sue's, the other person's getting 10 hours, additional 10 hours.
And then later on, when we get to Article 13, whatever it is, it's change, that's requesting a change to the town clerk
Right.
position,
Yeah.
will it be explained, like, how, what's going to happen? Like, is that person going to be full-time? Are the other people? Sure, sorry.
You can, when we get to that warrant article,
It-
you
well-
can certainly ask these questions, and we
But
can-
will
we
it
can
be
answer them.
explained to, at the town meeting, what's going to happen if that gets approved? Because at the moment, the way it's written, nothing's going to change.
That would be the indication right now, yes.
Right.
There's nothing in that article that speaks as to.
To hours.
Hours
Or
or
what would happen
compensation or
to
anything
the other
else.
people
Right.
who work there.
Right, at that time, yep.
So there is an explanation. Is that correct?
Well,
As to what will
let's wait
happen
till-
if that
let-
gets approved?
Let's wait till we get to that article, and
So
then
you
we
don't
can have
know?
that discussion.
Yep, if there's an
I think he's
explanation.
just
There-
trying to
there-
go
there-
according to the article.
Okay.
Simply, there is nothing, there's no budget
Right.
discussion as to that article. There wasn't any, and there isn't any in the article.
Okay.
Whatever is in the town clerk's budget now would be the budget for the town clerk for fiscal 2026.
Right.
No matter what the change is or whatever, right now, that's what the budget is.
Mr. Chair, just in the interest of time, I would just basically reiterate what you just said. No matter whether the Article 13 or 12, 13 passes or not, we won't be asking for any changes in this budget based on the decision on that article.
Okay.
Interesting.
Anything else?
Okay, not right now, thanks.
All right, thank you. Any questions on Article 7? It's a rather voluminous article, it has a lot of items in it. Anybody? Nobody? All right. We'll move to Article 8. Article 8 are capital items. This would authorize the expenditure of $80,000 for animal control vehicle, $98,830 for a dump truck for DPW, $88,272 for a fire utility vehicle, $75,081 for a radio console for fire, $32,000 for HVAC repairs and upgrades for the library, and $63,000 for a Section 7D van for the schools. Does anybody have any questions on this? One thing to note with respect to the animal control vehicle, we do have a sharing arrangement with the town of Medway. There isn't a specific amount that has been agreed to as far as what the sharing percentage will be for fiscal 2026, but there will be some sharing of the cost of this vehicle and the use of it, as well as the animal control officer's salary, as has been the case for the last few years. All right. No other questions? Article 9, Sarah?
This article is authorizing the town to vote to borrow under the provisions of MGL Chapter 44 or any other enabling authority the sum of $137,632 for the lease/purchase of 2 police cruisers.
Any questions on that? There being no questions on that, Article 10, Jen?
Yep, this article concerns whether the town can move from free cash the sum of $593,075 for the purpose of paying the Tri-County debt obligation, thus delaying further, the need to find further means for funding this. Any questions?
Basically, this, as we all know, Tri-Valley began the construction of a new school. There's a debt associated to that new school. This is our participation in that debt for this fiscal 2026. It's based in large part on our attendance, the number of students that we send to the school in any given year. This is in addition to what we would be paying normally as well for the cost of the students that are there, the annual budget, operating budget for Tri-Valley,
Tri-County.
Tri-County, sorry.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
so the way that we have it in our sheet is that it will establish a special revenue fund. Is that what this will do, or is this just paying the debt?
Mr. Kaczynski?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We did have some conversations with town council regarding this. So there really is no special revenue account or revolving fund that we could legally set that up in. So what this basically is an just a funding article that will be paying the debt out of. So it'll cover all of the debt for the upcoming fiscal year, and that amount would also cover a portion of the debt for the following fiscal year.
So if I understand correctly, it's an authority, but it will cover more than one fiscal year?
Yes.
Okay.
Do we know how much of the next fiscal year it covers, or it's just an
We
additional
don't.
sum?
We know, I believe, I don't have the exact number off the top of my head, but I think the current assessment is around 350,
Okay.
360.
Yeah.
And then whatever's remaining will go towards whatever the assessment is next year, which we don't know because it's based on student population, which we won't know till October.
Yeah, we had a
Just-
lot, I'm
you-
sorry,
you-
Craig Schultz, Select Board, 330 Plain Street. We had a lot in free cash this year, a lot of extra. So Mike and Jody came up with this great idea to set up this fund to fund Tri-County for many, many years, instead of just putting it into,
Roads.
no. We're broke, but Kathy, we're still funding roads at $500, well, Mr. Chair, we're still funding roads at $500,000, and that's all part of our plan. But
How
we're
many
put-
miles does that get, Ellen?
Kathy, please, address, please.
If I'm gonna be heckled, I can leave. I don't need to be here.
No,
But,
please continue.
Okay, thank you. It's going to be we had 535-ish, whatever the number was exactly in the book, that was available. We puts about 225, 230 into next year also. If you recall, last year we put 400,000 into free cash, stabilization, also earmarked for this, but this was cleaner than stabilization. I don't have to keep saying, remember when? This now exists as a special line. We may at some point decide to move the money out of stabilization and put it into this that we put in there just to keep it clean, but for now, this will get us through. All of this year should get us through next year also with the money that's currently in stabilization. And then should have a good free cash year next year, so hopefully can bank a little bit more and get a few more years out of it.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
So if I understand correctly, it's similar to when we authorize a borrowing for a bond or something, and that authority stays there regardless of how much we actually borrow. So this is the authority that will cover 593,000, and then we know what our assessment is this year, but the rest will be rolled over.
Correct. So it's not, yeah, it is authority. It's also the actual funding is actually in there. So again, we'll be able to cover all of FY '26 and a portion of FY '27 with that. And as Selectman Schultz said, you know, we don't know what the exact number is going to be for FY '27, but there's also money that was set aside in stabilization if needed to cover that difference. But we're hoping that next year's free cash will also cover any difference, so that we won't have to even look at stabilization.
I think it should be noted as well, when this came up for a vote, the funding of the Tri-County School, that there was an opportunity for the town to place this as an override for the continuing years that the debt would be outstanding, and the town voted against that. So now it comes out of operating budget.
That's correct.
Well, free cash, but basically,
Comes out of our current available revenue.
yes, current available revenue, yes. Any other questions? Any questions? No? All right, thank you. Jen, you have number 11.
Article 11, I believe, and you can fill it in, is similar in that we are going to transfer from free cash the sum of $300,000 for unanticipated building repairs for all municipal and school buildings. And this is a separate fund. It's not anything planned like the school rebuild renovation project. It's for, things that happen and come up and things that break over the course of the year.
So this is an anticipation that obviously there's going to be maintenance that's going to be required on these buildings as they get older, especially this particular building, which houses the town offices. And therefore, it was decided that a sum be set aside so that we're not looking for individual items all year long, trying to pay for them. Any questions on this one? There being no questions, we'll move to Article 13. Oh, excuse me, Article 12. Article 12. Sorry, Article 12, Joyce, sorry.
I have no problem with you skipping over Article 12. Article 12, the intent of this article was requesting a special act to provide measures of tax relief for a small group of most fiscally vulnerable seniors, for senior citizen property owners in the community. These individuals would need to meet certain state circuit breaker tax credit guidelines and be longtime residents of the town for 10 years or more. They would also have to meet other strict financial guidelines. Do we want to discuss how the vote went, or was that something that we will wait until?
Certainly,
Okay.
no.
We're moving, the Finance Committee is moving that this not be approved, this article not be approved. And there was a vote of 5-4, 5 against, 4 for on the article. The 5 members of the Finance Committee who voted against approval of this article, their reasons were, they believed that the tax exclusion should not be granted to a select group of individuals, that the number of current and future homeowners benefiting from this unknown, this unknown and the cost of this article to remain homeowners would be a disadvantage, that there are also tax breaks in place for qualified seniors, and it was felt at one point that this would pit one group against the other. If somebody needs an example, I certainly could give you an example.
No, it's okay, I mean,
And then the 4 members of the Finance Committee members voted in favor of this article. Their reasons centered on the benefit of the article to those elderly homeowners who meet requirements including income, age, years as homeowners in Millis, income, asset value of principal home, and Board of Assessors approval. It was felt the benefit outweighed the cost of the article to other homeowners of the town. Any questions?
it was a tight vote. There were strong arguments on both sides. I think both sides of the members in the FinCom, eloquently made their point. So we put it to the town. But the vote of 5-4 against recommendation has been the vote of the FinCom on this. You have a question?
It was a tough one.
Lisa Harden, 56 Walnut Street. I do have a question about this. It sounds like you have more information than I do about how many people might be affected by this, and,
I can
I-
answer you some
One
of your
second,
questions.
one second.
and if their taxes are lowered, because they won't include the amount for a new school,
Mhm.
then everyone else's will be raised,
Yes.
right? So I guess that is maybe what, I wasn't here, obviously, for the discussion and the vote that you guys did, but do you have any figures or anything you can share?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. We've spoken to the assessor. We had a meeting with the assessor, finance, with everyone, Mike. And at this time, the most that could possibly benefit would be 258. However, when they look at all the requirements, it could come down to about 50 people who would be eligible for this homeowners that meet all the parameters. Being 65 years old, having a spouse 60 years old, having lived in the town for 10 years, meeting circuit breaker figures, not having their home valued at more than $1.2 million and change, them not having more than $250,000 in savings. So there is a criteria that, that they would have to fill out these forms. It would have to be done every year, and the assessor would be the one to do the approval. And when it really crunched down, it was about 50 homeowners that it came to. But the problem being is it may be 50 now, but there were members of the board who felt that right now it might be 50, but the population is getting older, and what if it comes to being 350 or 500, and and then you're tax burdening other people. The other questions were the fact that it could burden, why is it, and this is about the pitting, why the seniors and not the single mom who's got 3 kids and 5 jobs, that it just, so I think it needs to be reviewed a little bit more, but those are the numbers.
I think the figure that we received, and all of this is estimated, but what was presented to us at our last meeting when there was a discussion about it was it would be $50 to $75 more per home, would be the estimated cost if the homeowners were, if the elderly homeowners were allowed to have this exclusion. But again, those figures are unknown at this point because we don't know how many people will qualify for it. And until we do know that, we won't know really what the exact cost will be.
Is this based on another town's having
Yes.
passed something similar?
Yes.
Hopkinton passed it.
Yep.
Is it possible to have it apply to more than just seniors, or is there a reason why it's just seniors?
It's a senior circuit breaker.
Oh, it's
yeah.
associated with that?
Yeah.
It's,
Okay.
it's based on the philosophy that we want to keep the seniors in the town, that it becomes more difficult as you get older and become more on a fixed budget in retirement with taxes that exist in this town as well as most of the surrounding towns increasing, that the idea was to give the seniors who are most vulnerable in terms of this type of thing, obviously other homeowners who have less income are affected as well, but it was thought that to keep the seniors in the town, this was a proposal that make some sense.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
I'd be happy to talk to you another time.
Any other questions? All right. There being no others, we'll go to number 13. Article 13.
That's yours.
Yeah, that's me.
In real.
The town approved the changes to the Millis Home Rule Charter. This article would authorize the town to amend the Millis Home Charter to change the town clerk position from an elected position to one that would be appointed by the Millis Select Board. The petition would not in any other way change the role, powers, duties, liabilities, or penalties conferred and imposed by the law on town clerks. Certain other towns in the Commonwealth have changed their, 150 other towns have changed their position, town clerk positions from elected to appointed. And the FinCom voted in favor. Any questions on this one? Yes?
Lisa Harden, 56 Walnut Street. So this is my opportunity to ask about this one. So can you explain why, what the reasoning is, if it's no change in hours or salary or anything? What's the point?
I mean, I could just briefly say that it was the Select Board's position that they felt that an appointed position in terms of town clerk made more sense for the town of Millis, but I can certainly allow the board to come up and speak on their own.
Okay. You want to speak here?
I didn't bring my notes, but I will speak to this at town meeting.
Please identify.
Oh, Ellen Rosenfeld, Select Board, 12 Evergreen Terrace. There's a myriad of reasons to switch to appointed. Some of the top ones are, we need somebody, we want to open the pool to qualified people. So the town clerk's position has changed enormously over the 200, 300, 400, 600 years from Greek-Roman times, when they gave you, did they have dogs back then? They gave you a dog license, they recorded deaths. It was a local person that would walk to the building and whatever. It is now highly technical, very regulated. 95% of the town's clerk position is by statute. And it is timely, and it is, you need a certain skill set, and we need the best candidates for that job. Elected officials, I'm being one of them, we get voted on popularity. I have no skills. You don't know what my skills are. We're elected because I have a great last name. Thank you, Ma.
I think it's a little bit more than that.
You said, well, I hope I've proven it, but it's not when I was running. There is no policy coming out of the town clerk's office. I'm hearing things about how they're going to be controlled by the select board. Well, you can't control, if we can control 5%, 95% is by statute. There's 5% that maybe they have, can make an opinion on. But there's no policy coming out of that office. It doesn't make for elected officials. It is a skill set, it's education, it's talent, it's training. So I also hear that, well, if it's appointed, you could live out of town. God forbid, you could live out of town. Well, we just appointed 2 of the best employees to this town that live out of town. One is our new treasurer, and one is the COA director. I mean, they bring a talent and skill set that we haven't seen in years. So being a townie, although I love every minute of it, is not a requirement for being town clerk. There needs to be continuity. So every election, you could get a new person in. Who's going to train that person? For the first year, they're bubbling and bumbling. Listen, I'm the smartest person in the room, and I didn't open my mouth for the first year. I had to learn, and we don't have that time for a learning curve. It's too important, that position, to have a stop and stutter. I'm trying to think of the other. I hear that, well, you can control them. We, the select board, can control the town clerk. Well, first of all, we can control, the biggest thing is during elections. I might want you, Jody, to be the next select board member. I'm going to interfere with the town clerk during the election. First of all, it's illegal. I go to jail. The town clerk could go to jail for listening to me. Not for nothing. Isn't it more ridiculous that the town clerk would be in charge of their own re-election? I mean, I never understood that argument, and I still don't. It's time, every single town that is now appointed, they were all elected, by the way. It was an elected position. Every single one that is appointed right now went from elected to appointed for a reason. Another huge reason, accountability. People say, well, if a town clerk is elected, the people can judge their performance. We can't get people to come to town meeting. We're going to get people to come into the town clerk's office with a checklist. I think that our new elected official doing a fine. I think that nobody's monitoring. We're in this under the same room. We see what's going on down there. There has to be accountability. There's no accountability for an elected official. Thank goodness, me being one. Another good point. We all work together. I've said this 1,000 times. We wear 1,000 hats in this building. We're a teeny tiny town. We have 2 people in the town clerk's office. They have to work together. They have to work with every other office in here, put a different hat on. An elected official can say, you know what, I don't like that. I'm not going to do that. I'm just not going to do it. Well, who's going to do it? There has to be accountability. We have to work together. And we monitor that person. So they say, well, I don't like him, I'm going to get rid of him. Well, I could get rid of any appointed official here. Why in the world would I get rid of any appointed official here? They say the same thing. The town moderator, through the select board, is going to control. Well, then vote me out. I mean, preposterous. Everybody is here trying to make everything work. And in order to be a team, we need everybody to put the hat on and be accountable, because otherwise it doesn't work. The only way I could see an elected town clerk, and I've said this, is if you have, I don't know, maybe Boston City Hall, where they have 10 assistants and 1 town clerk that can actually stand by and say, you know what, I really don't want to do these, but everybody else can pick it up. We can't afford that. We will never be able to afford that with our teeny tiny town and our teeny tiny hats. So it's time to turn this over. Every single anyone that is appointed right now went from elected to appointed. No town has gone the other way, gone back. It's the right thing to do, and the time is perfect now because we had an elected official that retired, and we're not pushing anybody out. We're making a change, and I believe it's the right thing to do. I have another 100 things, but I didn't bring my notes.
Thank you. No, we
But thank
appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Can I ask another question?
Of course.
That doesn't say what's going to happen. Like, is the position going to stay the same
Yes.
as it is currently?
Well, it's going to be
Or
an
when I
appointed
left?
position.
When I left, I was making $12,000, and it was no hours. So it was extremely part-time.
Mhm.
And this doesn't say anything about increasing the hours, increasing the salary. I mean, you're not,
We have a budget. We went over that. There's a budget for 2026.
right?
That
that's
budget
already
includes-
gonna
that budget
be paid
includes the
to the
sa-
2 people that are there.
That's right. That's the budget for
So,
2026.
so if we vote this in, what's this person going to be paid, and how many hours are they going to work?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
Craig Schultz, Select Board, 330 Plain Street, I'm back. The plan would be it's a full-time clerk. We think that with the increased hours in the assistant's position, that would be enough hours to cover the needs that we have. As was pointed out, it was a very part-time elected clerk. We think that the accountability that Ellen spoke towards, the staff that we hope to be able to attract into that position as professionals, we should be able to have full-time clerk, part-time, near full-time assistant, whatever the hours are for that assistant, and fit it all within the budget that's proposed out there right now.
Thank you.
And the third person also?
There would be no third person. There's no third person. The part-time elected clerk, which was a 12-hour-a-week position, I think that's what it was sitting at, will be eliminated when the elected clerk is eliminated.
So right now, there's a full-time and a part-time employee in the clerk's office. That'll remain the same, no matter who the clerk
The
is.
part-time guy had more hours.
So there will
Yes.
be a full-time town clerk?
Yes.
Basically
Part-time
full-time.
assistant.
Well, she's
Well,
full-time.
Assistant.
Full-time assistant. And the third person?
No, nope,
So
again,
what's gonna
no
happen
third
to
person.
that person
It's
will
gone,
be gone.
gone. It won't be an elected position. There is no elected position, it'll be gone.
So there's an increase in hours for the
Yeah.
second person.
Yeah.
So the 10 or 12 hours that was that other
Yeah.
third person is now going into.
Again, very simply, the budget that you saw for the town clerk's office is the budget that's going to be there. No matter who's in there, that's the budget.
I know, but I think it would be good at town meeting to explain what's actually going to happen to the people who are currently there
There will be.
if this is, if this change is made.
If the question comes up, the select board is
Well,
there to
it'll come
answer
up,
it.
So I'm,
Yeah.
Yeah, the select board's there to answer it.
May I just quickly?
Yeah.
It'll be 2 positions in that town clerk office. We will open applicants for the town clerk that's appointed, should it all pass, and we will interview and select the best candidate. That could cause changes in the office. It may or may not. It depends on who applies and who the candidates are. But it will fit under the existing budget. It will be 2 people. It's not going to be anything more than that. The only thing that's changing is we are eliminating the part-time elected position and sticking with 2 professional full-time or near full-time people.
Mr. Chair? I'm
Yes.
just curious, will it be, I've seen postings for the Select Board's office for internal. Would this be an internal posting or out to the public? or
I mean,
is that
whatever the
known yet?
process is that's used by the town, it'll remain that town
Can I ask the
process.
question, please?
Well,
Thank
I
you.
mean, that's the question, that's the answer, but,
Well, I don't hear it
Mr.
from-
Chair,
Yeah.
Mike Kaczynski, Town Administrator.
yeah.
So just to quickly reiterate what Selectman Schultz said, so if this were to pass, you would have a full-time, salaried, appointed town clerk, and you would have a 30-hour-per-week assistant in the office. And so you'd have two people. As far as the town clerk's position, that would most likely end up being a union position, but that has to be negotiated with the union to see if that is what's going to happen. If that were to happen, then the town would have to make a determination based on, we would do an internal process to see if there's qualified people, and if the board felt that there was a very qualified person within that to appoint, they could do that, or they could decide to go out to a broader search. So that's basically a current process now as part of
Right.
the union contracts. But again, this person, the town clerk, would be a full-time salaried department head.
You're not anticipating any different procedure than you would normally be in this
No.
situation?
No.
Okay.
Thank you for the response, Mr. Kaczynski.
Any other questions?
I can't think of it at the moment.
All right, thank you. Moving on to Article 14. Article 14 would amend the general bylaws by establishing a permanent tri-board committee and require that that meet at least 4 times per year. The town in recent years has occasionally had these tri-board meetings. And the 3 boards have found these meetings to be beneficial to assist in the operational budgeting, planning, short-term and long-term, and focus on major areas of concern. And so it was proposed that there be a formal tri-board committee established to meet 4 times a year. Any questions on this one? Yes? Sit closer up so you don't have to walk so far.
Lisa Harden. I just have since we've already been doing this with the tri-board, and as far as I know, it's been working fine, why does it need to be made a bylaw? Why can't we just continue the way we have been doing it? Has there been trouble getting people to show up or something?
Mr. Schultz will,
Yeah, I'll sit up front now. No, I'll take your advice. No, there's been no trouble getting people to show up. We've had good attendance at all of them. There is a Department of Local, help me, Kathy.
DLS.
Thank you, DLS, Department
Local
of Local
Services.
Services. I always was DOL. The
Division.
Department of Local, Division of Local Services did a study. We asked them to come in and do the study. They suggested several things that we should do. One of them was change the way warrants are approved, you know, the payroll warrants with Mike, we did that a few years ago. Another one was to formally, to formalize our tri-board meetings so that they're official. Right now, it's because of the grace of the chairs that we meet. Now it's going to be officially in there, so no matter who's the chair, it's going to happen. There's been no issue getting people there. We've met at least 3 times a year since we started them. This just means that no matter who's the chair and who's on these committees, you have to go. Okay, so.
Okay.
any other questions on that? All right, there being none, let's move on to Article 15. Joyce?
Okay, Article 15 is to vote the transfer of the care, custody, management, and control of the town-owned properties listed in Article 15, as you can see below, from the Select Board for general municipal purposes to the Select Board for disposition. These are lands, these are parcels in the town that really have no benefit to the town. And it would be, by selling them, it would be able to create some tax revenue for the town and release the care of this land from the town to whomever possibly wants to purchase it. Many of them are small, they're landlocked, they're unbuildable, and for, basically for a variety of reasons, they are not suitable for the municipal use. These parcels have been so identified, should be declared a surplus and be disposed of whenever possible in order to put properties back in the tax roll. Usually, these properties are purchased by abutters who would like to expand the size of their property. And if this were to go through, if the town decided it would be the same way we did it from last year's land, it would go up for sale or auction in accordance to the state to get the widest net.
Any questions on that? Yes. Told you to sit up front?
She needs the walk.
A lot of these parcels are in Millis Heights, which I've been on the Board of Assessors for a long time, and it's always a headache dealing with those. So what I'm curious about is a lot of them, the owners aren't necessarily known. The current owner, we know who got it in the 1920s. So is there, has there been any discussion about how to find the current owner or how to sell it if we don't know the current owner?
Well, first of all, these are town-owned properties. There you go. So they're owned by the town, so we know who the owner is. So I don't think there's
okay.
an issue with respect to that.
You're right, you're right.
Yeah, so, yeah, I think the town has looked at these parcels. I was an assessor for 25 years myself. It's very common for towns to finally look at parcels of land that they own, that they don't need, and they're not, at this point, they're not tax revenue. They're not generating any tax revenue. So the hope is that you take some of those parcels, as was mentioned. Abutters often are the only ones that are interested in them because they have no value to anyone else, and put them in the tax rolls again. And that's the reason that we were given. Is there anything else, Mr. Schultz, you'd like to add?
You
to
nailed
that?
it.
I guess, you're right, these are town-owned. So when I'm thinking of the property map for the Millis Heights area, you look at the town-owned ones, and they're like here, 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 surrounded by land that we don't know who owns it. And the town-owned property would be probably more valuable to somebody if they could combine it with something else. Would that be up to them?
Again, it would go through a process. It would be out there, it would be published. There would be a process, either bidding or otherwise, as established by the state. And anybody who's an abutting parcel owner is interested in it, they could certainly make a bid for it, or whatever the process is, they
Right.
could come in. Anybody would be allowed to make an offer on these parcels. It's just, you're probably only gonna get people who are interested in them because they're abutters.
All right.
Well, yeah, Ellen Rosenfeld, 12 Evergreen Terrace. Anybody can purchase these properties, like you said at the end. You don't have to be in a butter. Somebody could put them all together and build themselves an ADU, We haven't got to that one yet, have we, Jody?
Not yet.
Well, don't
yeah,
start
hold your
things now,
horses.
all right?
But I will say this about that. The reason, so last town meeting, we put 2 on because we had 2 interested people. But rather than do that, we're going to put every one of them on that we want to get rid of, because now we don't have to wait for the next town meeting for people. People are impatient. I'm one of them. We put them all on, and then the process just speeds up. It's a good thing. This is a good thing for the
Yeah.
town.
No, I think, just to indicate, no one can do an ADU on these unless they own the abutting property.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I've seen some questions online about where these are, if there are maps available. Are we going to have anything available at town meeting that will identify them?
Yeah, they had said that before. Go ahead, Mike.
Not everyone loves getting into GIC as a, or
Yes,
GIS
thank
as
you,
I do.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman. So at the town meeting, Mr. Weiss, we will have him outside of the entrance to town meeting with 2 large boards.
Right.
One of them will be the FEMA flood maps, and one of them will be these parcels. And we'll also endeavor to have a number of handouts that people can pick up when they go in, so they can reference. It still may be difficult because
They're tiny.
just because of the size and the maps and the size of the parcels. So it's going to be hard to pick apart each parcel if there's specific questions. But we're really looking at, whether or not the town's supportive of the whole concept of really allowing the select board to determine, which of these can be sold and give them that option. Because at this point, we've determined there's no municipal use for those parcels.
Are any of them large? I mean, I know they're all small, and I honestly, I see how many there are. Could these be combined if somebody wanted to purchase a bunch of these?
Certainly.
And is there access to them once they were purchased?
I think they all have access.
Yes, they have access, and as a matter of fact, there's one gentleman that's been scooping up whenever they become available. I met with him. So he may be interested in scooping up more, or maybe giving his to somebody else. But he was, yeah. So there's access, and absolutely, you can put 4 or 5 of these together and do something. It takes a little work because there are a lot of paper roads, and it's kind of hard to maneuver, but it can be done.
It
Yes,
can be.
absolutely.
Okay, just so
But-
that, I found
But
it.
none of these, to my knowledge, I do not, none of these are buildable on their own, because I would buy it.
Separate, you mean separately?
Yeah.
Separate individually.
Individual, right.
Go ahead,
Yeah, they are
Kathy.
tiny.
Mr. Chair, I was
Yes.
just wondering if, especially like Ellen, who's got a history of the town, if someone could do a paragraph and explain from whence these came. It was the movie cinemas in the 10s and 20s, and just say, these were like raffle tickets.
Right,
And-
but I don't have a definitive. I've heard 10 different stories. I've heard that they were bottle cap lots from Clico. I've heard that they were giveaways at a movie theater, or
Right.
at the, I don't know, Jewish hotels. There's no definitive.
Yeah.
And I've asked Rusty Cushman, he's the historian, and he's heard the same stories I've heard.
Okay. I was wondering why
Oftentimes,
no one-
these are what we call paper roads. It was a road that was supposed to be put in, the town owned
Yeah,
the
no,
land.
this isn't the case,
but-
Mr. Chair.
Yeah, well, some of them might be. I'm not saying it's all of them, but some of them might be paper roads. Oftentimes, that's it as well. Any other questions? All right, there being none, we will go to Article number 16. Jody?
So Article 16 would amend Section 11 of the Special Flood Hazard District, the Section 2 definitions, and to amend other related provisions of the zoning bylaws, which are printed in the warrant. Kind of goes, it's printed in the warrant, and this will put the town in compliance with the new FEMA flood insurance rate maps, and would amend the Millis zoning map accordingly.
Any questions? There being none, we'll move on to Article 17,
Oh, Peter's here. Mr.
amending the, Jody,
Yeah,
Article
sorry, I
17.
got confused there.
Pete's here.
Oh, Pete's there.
Yep.
That's what you,
upstairs.
I was looking at the other
Hi,
Pete.
Pete.
Pete and repeat. Hey there. Article 17 would amend the Millis zoning bylaws to replace the definition of accessory family unit with accessory dwelling unit. This is an attempt to put the Millis zoning bylaws in conformity to the new ADU requirement that was passed by the state, let's see, in August of 2024.
So the state passed a law, amongst other things, it was a Home Affordability Act, and amongst other things included in it was the establishment of a formal ADU process, accessory dwelling unit, which in most instances used to be what was called in-law apartments. In most towns, including the town of Millis, it was done by special permit, and it existed, well, as long as that person owned the property, and when that person sold the property, it had to be reapplied for as a special permit. The state has now formalized it that it no longer can be or is forced to be by special permit. It can be done as a matter of right. And these bylaws, as we were told, were established in order to both incorporate what the state has put into the state statute, but also the state allowed local communities to limit certain aspects which would include such things as timeframes for rental, parking, and things of those natures. And that's what's included in this particular bylaw. Any questions? The FinCom has not voted on this yet. We do plan to vote on this at our meeting immediately prior to town meeting, and we'll then give our recommendation orally at town meeting. We'll move on to Article 18. Sarah?
This article is approving the transfer of the sum of $40,736.55 to the unemployment insurance fund. The town is self-insured and therefore must set aside funds in a special account to pay out for unemployment. This is replenishing funds into the account.
Any questions? No questions. We'll move on to Article 19. Sarah?
Megan? This article is approving or is authorizing the town to transfer the sum of $300,000 into the MGL Chapter 41, Section 111F Injury Leave Indemnity Fund. This fund is set up for the purpose of paying police officers and firefighters who have sustained injuries in the performance of a duty during the period of the injury leave who have met the insurance threshold, instead of appropriating these funds from the respectable department budgets.
Any questions? Being no questions, Article 20, Peter Ruby.
Good evening. This article, if approved at Town Hall, would allow or authorize appropriation from free cash $50,000 into the other post-employment benefits fund, or commonly referred to as OPEB. Towns are required to have funds set aside for these other post-employment benefits, which are typically non-health care benefits for retirees. And Millis, like almost all towns in Massachusetts, does not have its OPEB fund fully funded. There's only a couple towns that have that. One of the funds that Millis funds is its pension fund, and once the pension fund is fully paid and vested or fully funded, likely there will be requirements from the state that Millis make contributions to OPEB. And until then, it's good financial practice that the town appropriate funds from free cash or other means into this fund.
Any questions? No questions. We'll go to the final article, number 21. Jody?
This article would transfer from free cash $100,000 into the stabilization fund to just make sure that we keep the fund over 5%, which helps on our bond rating and other financial metrics for the town. This would put the fund at about 6%, which would be helpful, as we go into the unknown economically into FY '27 and beyond.
Any questions? There being no questions, any final questions? Anybody have anything regarding any of the warrant articles that wasn't brought up at this time? Yes?
Lisa Harden. I believe my question is about Article 20. Is that the one where, in order to fully fund it, we need like $30 million or something?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So OPEB is basically the health insurance that retirees, it funds the retirees' health insurance. It's state mandated, or it's mandated by the county where we hold our health insurance, who we pay our health insurance premiums to. And yes, it's unfunded, or not totally funded. And as Peter said, right now, the pensions in the state aren't totally funded either, but the state is accelerating the town contributions each year toward those state pension funds. And when that gets finally done, then the town can use some of that money that was being spent toward pensions, excess spent toward pensions, and put it toward OPEB, and hopefully meet the OPEB requirements in a fund as opposed to paying for them on a regular basis out of operating.
I don't think I understood what you just said. Are you saying that the state is planning to pay the town's pension at some point?
Our pensions are through the state. We're
So-
part of the state
so-
pension fund.
So what's going to happen that the state's going to do, and then we won't be responsible for paying pensions?
The state has accelerated each town's contribution toward the state pension fund in excess of what it currently does right now, so that the state pension fund would be fully funded at some point, I think the year 2033.
Yeah.
And in that case, then all of the pensions paid through the state pension fund would be paid from the fund itself. And we would just make our yearly contributions based on what our employees were, not in any
So is Norfolk
excess.
County considered a state pension fund?
Part of the state pension
Oh,
fund,
okay.
yes.
So is that amount in the town
Yes.
budget somewhere?
Yes.
Under what? The amount we're currently being asked to pay an increasing
Yes.
amount toward the state?
Yes.
What, where is
Mike?
that?
Mr. Chairman, it's towards the latter part of the budget. It's under pension assessments. I think it's also near the benefits, health insurance. It's in
Okay.
that same area.
All right.
And it's a large number.
Thank you, thank you. All right, any other comments, questions regarding the warrant?
I have one that's kind of tangentially related because in our packet was the retained earnings summary for the enterprise funds. And noting that there's about 800,000 in remaining free cash in the stormwater fund, I wondered if I could just ask if there are projects coming up that would be using, because it seems like a large amount, especially in comparison to the other retained funds, and do we have anticipated projects that we will be using those funds for?
The amount is 796,033.
I rounded up.
Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The short answer is yes. I would probably defer that, though, to the DPW director. I know there's a number of projects that are being looked at currently, and the idea being that, we'd be able to fund some of the smaller projects directly without having to borrow to move forward with those. So that was the goal of setting aside a certain amount every year, so that as these projects, and originally, we had a project plan, but we ultimately didn't have to go forward with that, so that has allowed us to keep a healthy balance there. But I do expect within the next year or two, you'll see some projects coming forward.
I think if that could be communicated periodically to the town, that would help, because we all don't like paying too much to have money sit there, but if it's going to be used for projects, and I know that the projects can eat up 800,000 pretty quickly.
790.
796. It'll be 800 by the time they get to it. So just be useful, much like we have the capital planning report, to just kind of know what capital projects we're looking at from the enterprise funds.
Yes, it's a good point. I'll definitely have some discussions with the DPW director, and I'm sure over the next couple months, we'll start seeing some plans for that. But again, we were sort of holding those in reserve for those projects coming up in the priority projects, but, and like I said, we anticipated on using some of those already, but
Right.
it was a good turn of events that we didn't have to, but yes, you will see some upcoming projects, and that will help us down the road without not having to increase those fees, perhaps as quickly down the road, by utilizing those funds, so. But
That's
we
good-
will
good
look at
point,
getting
Jody.
those.
I think we can invite the DPW director at a future meeting to come in and discuss it.
Yeah, be good, just so we know, as a town. It's
Yep.
helpful.
Anything else? All right, we're going to move further on to our agenda. We have a bills payable.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Do I hear a motion to close?
You do.
Pre-town meeting?
Moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Yay.
Thank you. I don't know that we moved to have it. There's a unpaid bills.
Good night.
Good night, thank you very much. Which was printing and postage of the town warrant. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I move that we approve the payment of, let's
$9,457.65.
that, $9,457.65 to Our Town Publishing for the printing of the warrant.
Second.
and
Moved and
postage.
seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. All right.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I think it's important to remind ourselves that if it's a two-thirds majority and everything, the person presenting the article should mention that.
Yes, that's a good
Okay.
point. That's a good point.
Yeah.
I should have brought that up tonight. Thank
Do we
you.
have the bill to sign?
Yes, we do. It's right here.
There we go. We can't adjourn until,
Right, yeah, yep. We also have in front of us the meeting minutes. Do I hear a motion to approve the meeting minutes of April 9th?
So moved.
second.
Second.
Okay.
Pick one, Deirdre.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes of April 16th, 2025?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Any liaison updates? Any old business or new business? Anybody, any issues, questions? No? I'm going to hold off for a minute till we all sign this.
So, what time shall we be gathering on?
That's a good question.
May the 5th?
I don't have the answer to that, but I'll have John get everybody out something about it one time.
Okay. And Deirdre has put the room number on the
Yep.
agenda here for us.
Room number
which is
104.
helpful.
Yep,
This is the usual room, right?
Right.
yep,
Reserved for 7 o'clock.
okay.
It's kind of entirely up
Yeah, that makes sense.
What time is town meeting, 7:30?
7:30.
7:30. We maybe want to make it 6:30 because, well, I don't know if there's going to be any real discussion on, Jen, are you going to have any further discussion on the article on ADUs?
I mean, I think we got the advice of the council. I'll see what we vote, but
Okay.
somebody may, including me, amend.
Okay.
There's a process clearly for
Okay,
that. So,
okay, all right.
further
So,
Did you
questions?
get
so 7 o'clock.
It was in the email. Did you all get the email?
The
When did it
email
come
was that
over?
it couldn't be amended at this time.
I didn't see it.
If anyone wanted to amend it, it would have
I
to be
think
on town
It
meeting
would have
floor.
to be like, during the article discussion, you would propose an amendment.
Okay.
All right, so Deirdre, why don't let's look for 7 o'clock right now, unless John has a different feeling on that, all right?
That makes sense.
Okay, that's good.
All right, everybody signed that? Very good. Anything else? Nothing?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.